Hi, and welcome to Speak from the Center. I am Tim, just Tim. My co host Nolan currently has technical difficulties, and hopefully he'll be joining us shortly. So, how's it going? Uh, I'd say it's going pretty good because World War III hasn't started yet. The Russians have not invaded the Ukraine, and they said that they would be, you know, chill right now, maybe. Who knows? Um, Thanks, Gabe, for watching. Oh, speaking of Gabe, I have to make a retraction because last week I said that Gabe was still a Patreon subscriber, and he is not. It is Shartan who's our current producer. Shartan is throwing in the Patreon monies. So if you would like to be like Shartan and give us the Patreon monies, just follow the link below, patreon.com/sftc, and you too can become a producer of the show. So, we had a couple of topics to talk about on this episode of Speaking from the Center. I already mentioned the Russians, those wacky Russians. We're also going to be talking about when or if I get co-hosts, we'll be talking about is the pandemic over, and are people being super too chill about it? And I also have a couple of other international type stories. So let's dig into. Gabe says nope. Let's dig into some international news. Bam, international news. So over the last week, the tensions between the Ukraine-Russian border have been through the roof. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on. The Ukrainian president accidentally gave Russia some sort of concession and then took it back. Then he said that Russia was going to invade today and then took that back. And, it's kind of super weird. Recently, Russia claimed that it was going to pull some of its troops away from the border and they would go back to their bases. But recent satellite images show that they've added troops to the border, about 7,000. So there's that. Who knows? Who knows what Putin's going to do? He's a wacky guy who likes invading other countries. So there's that. Who likes invading other countries. And like I said, who knows? The NATO has been putting forces on alert. There's news reports of U.S. and Russian planes having close encounters over the Mediterranean. There's naval drills going on. It's all crazy and wacky. I mean, any day now, apparently, the United States has said that they're open to further negotiations, and so is Russia, which is probably why war has not started. But who knows? It's certainly not good for Biden. Like whatever happens, it's not good for President Biden because look, we haven't. Does everything work now?
I think so.
Okay, it works now.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work now. It's my new computer couldn't manage for some reason, so I had to pull out the laptop. I was like, "Oh, I've got this fancy new $1,000 computer." Nothing works. Well, okay.
I think you might have to check some settings.
Yeah, probably. Sadly.
So how's it going?
Oh, it's great. I have $1,000 computer that I can play any computer game I've ever wanted to play on, but I can't get to do this. So, yeah, Go me. Woo.
So I was talking about the Russia-Ukraine standoff thing.
Oh, yeah, it's going great, right?
Yeah. Russia said that they were going to pull troops away from the border, and in actuality, they've added people to the border.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want to regain the element of surprise. And they
Yeah,
can't
but
do
like,
that.
is it the element of surprise when you're like, well, some guys are going to go home, but then more show up? Like, it's not really the element of surprise. You're just being weird about it.
It's Russian surprise. It's surprising that you thought we would actually pull the troops away.
Oh, I see. Deception at its finest.
Well, it is the KGB running the country, so.
Apparently, there's been some close encounters between American fighter jets and Russian fighter jets over the Mediterranean.
Yeah. Yeah, of course there have been. Russia's trying to flex its muscle.
Yeah, but what do they have? Like the old MiG fighters? Like,
No, I'm sure they've got a handful, maybe a dozen or so of some new cutting edge fighter jet. And the minute they get into an actual shooting war and they lose all that.
Gabe says Russian surprise.
Yeah, no, Gabe is very mistaken. Because that's not how Russia works. Russia is a place that is sad and cold.
So yeah, World War III hasn't started yet, so everything's going okay.
Yet. That's the
well, the Russian president, or not the Russian president, the Ukrainian president, over the past week was like, "Oh, the Russians said they're going to invade on the 16th," and then he's like, "That's not what I said. I didn't say that. I heard that somewhere from somebody. It's not actually going to happen." He also accidentally gave the Russians some concessions about Ukraine and NATO, and then immediately took that back too.
Yeah. Well, he is a TV comedian whose popularity with a TV show got him elected president. So I'm happy to see that his presidency style is using the same writing staff he had for the TV show and pulling the same kind of shenanigans.
No, we won't join NATO. It's it's all a bit. It's all a bit. We won't join NATO. It's fine. I'm sorry.
Well,
I have to take that back.
LOL, just kidding.
Just kidding. LOL.
I mean, what we should do is just secretly sign them up for NATO. Don't make a big deal about it. Just have the thing, sign the freaking treaties, do it clandestinely, and then tell the Russians, we won't make a big deal about it. Don't worry. And then just quietly, months later, after all the commotion has died down, go, oh, surprise. Well, they signed it months ago. They're in the thing. And then the Russians be like, we'll invade. Well, that's attacking NATO, which means all of Europe and America comes after you if you do that. Neener, neener, neener.
And Turkey.
Yeah.
They're a NATO country too.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, the Russians wouldn't be happy about that.
Well, don't forget, a year or so ago, 2 years ago now, there was that bit where the Turks shot down the Russian fighter jets.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, remember they were like, we're gonna buzz around and do what we want because we're the Russians, and the Turks were like, get out of our airspace or else. What are you gonna do, Turkey? Boom. We just cost you a couple $1 million. Want to play this game again? You know how much these missiles cost? America gives it to us for free. That's how much it costs.
And we can fire all the missiles we want.
Yeah. No, that's Russia's trying to be all big and bad, and they're a horrible place right now, and they need a Bolshevik revolution. And the only way we're going to get that is by making the existing ruling class look like absolute dickheads and cause them to do things that hurt them. Not all of Russia, just them.
Well, I'm sure if we sanction them enough,
Yeah, we could sanction them with a whole bunch of tanks. We'll sanction their army and starve it of supply and make it have to surrender by putting. Oh no, that's called encircling, not sanctioning. I'm sorry, that's different.
That's a different kind of diplomacy.
Yeah, that's what it's the only thing they'll understand.
Just
The good old Vulcan hello.
just showing up with a bunch of tanks. Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, they're like, oh no, we're going to invade. Oh, we better not. Oh, we're going to do it. And then they invade, and it's like, oh, we just happen to have these 3 tank divisions sitting here. Oh, wow. Well, it would be a shame for them to go to waste.
They were just sitting there in Romania, and we figured we brought them all the way here.
Yeah, and Ukraine's right over there. And the funniest part is, again, all this is happening, and in the shadows lurks East Turanitsia, the breakaway Moldovan Republic that claims to still be part of the Soviet Union. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mikey Famine says, did they claim diplomatic immunity first, though? That's a deal breaker.
I don't think that's how that works at this point. At this point, we just have to hope it doesn't devolve into thermonuclear war, which is, it's kind of fun because, the boomers are still around. They're old enough to have been around, to have lived through the Cold War proper. They should remember this whole, if we fuck around too much, the, nuclear sword of Damocles that we all live under.
Oh, do you mean mutually assured destruction? Because that's what mutually assured destruction is.
Yes. And we all we never really stopped living under it. We just kind of got distracted by all the fancy.
He says he saw it in the documentary Lethal Weapon 2.
So that doesn't count because it has Mel Gibson. And as we know, anything with Mel Gibson was declared non-canon.
Really? Everything with Mel Gibson is non-canon now?
I mean, yeah, you get drunk and...
Even Highlander? Not Highlander. God, Braveheart.
No, unlike Braveheart, Highlander had an actual Scotsman in it named Sean Connery, who for some reason was playing a Spaniard.
That's because that was a crazy, crazy movie.
Yeah. He's the Spaniard. Yes, I'm the Spaniard. Okay, Mr. Kilts and Haggis. Yeah.
So before we get on to our next topics, I don't want to talk about Russia forever. I would like to let our listeners know that I'm going to start transitioning this show away from Facebook into YouTube and Twitter, or YouTube and Twitch, where we can get more money. Because, we need that sweet, sweet monetization. So, if you want to follow us on the YouTubes or the Twitch, the links are right down there. Twitch.tv/Speaking from the Center, or YouTube, whatever that crazy link is. We don't have enough subscribers for a custom channel yet, but we're getting there.
EQFR8TLS288Y8T1MV5Q. Woo!
Yeah. All that crazy stuff. Or just search Speaking from the Center on YouTube. I'm sure you'll find it after like 3 pages. So, on to the main topic for today. Nolan, is the pandemic over?
I don't know.
Like, people seem to think it's over.
So it is over for people like you and me. Because we had it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like we got it. And we came out the other side.
Mostly.
And that means for us, the fear of getting it again and being laid out and all that stuff is kind of abated. They'll have their gamma, beta, alpha, omega, Persei, Omicron 6.
Yeah, it's over for guys like us, the radical right-wingers.
Yeah. For us, it's over because we've gotten it. Eventually, everybody's going to get it.
I heard that. And they were talking about, like, it's not about, like, if you're going to get it, it's when. Like
yeah, when and how bad.
Is when they're just trying to mitigate how many people get it at once.
Right. But everybody's going to get it at some point.
Yeah.
It's just how bad. And then it's just going to fade to the background like the flu. And it's kind of getting to that point. And like at this point, I've been vaccinated. I've been wearing my mask for 2 fucking years. Oh, well, we got to worry about those people who won't and unvaccinated. Fucking let them die. I'm done. Let them get it. Let them get it.
Well, it's such like a big political issue at this point. Like there's so much political pressure to like not have mask in school, not have mask at the workplace, and to not make people get vaccinated.
I have been wearing my mask for 2 years at my current job. One of the guys there calls me Wilson from Home Improvement because he's never seen my face beyond this. There is like 24, maybe upwards of 50 people who this is all they know. This is all they've ever seen of me over the last 2 years. I mean, I agree, but and now you're telling me I don't have to wear that mask? No, I want to keep wearing it. I want these people to know what I look like.
Yeah, like a year ago, after like the second wave, before the Delta variant, we were thinking like, I don't really want to go outside without a mask on. Like before I got COVID, I hadn't been sick in 2 years. Like that was the best.
Yeah, but then we got it.
Sick.
So here's the thing, like we got it. We're past the point of being contagious. We're past the point of being sick. Should we still keep following the mask mandates, or is it kind of over for us?
Right. Mikey Famine says some people should probably cover their faces like forever.
I agree. But then you'd never know what Tim and I look like.
And my brother said that would be the greatest mask, just a fence in front of your face.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for us, it's over, right?
Yeah. I mean,
like we can't get it. I mean, if we get it again, it's not going to hurt us anywhere near as bad as it did the first time.
Yeah. And plus all the vaccinations and the booster shots. And
we've been vaccinated. We've actually gotten the fucking thing despite following all the rules. At this point, I'm kind of like, I'm over it.
I would suppose the only thing that could like get to us again and do damage would be like if the virus mutated in a way that it got around the vaccine.
And our own natural immunities from having had the illness itself.
Yeah.
Because not only did we get vaccinated, but I got sick after I got the vaccine.
Oh, did you get sick after you got the booster shot, or did you ever get
No, I got sick completely independently of all that.
Yeah, I had the Pfizer, not the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Yeah.
So
I got the vaccine, and then months later I got sick.
Yeah, I got vaccinated all the way back in April or May of 2020, and I didn't get sick until December of last year.
Yeah, same for me. I was sick January of 2022. I got vaccinated back in like July of last year.
So my brother got sick. He actually got COVID twice. But the second time he got the Omicron one.
Was it that bad? Like, I'm pretty sure that's what I got.
He got it over Christmas. And actually, like, we all had to, because he was over for Christmas, we all had to quarantine to make sure. But no one else got sick. I think his fiance got a minor cold.
I mean, that's the thing at this point. Yeah. So, like, see, we're safe. It's over for us. Right? So we got it.
So then the question is, who is it not over for? Is it not over for like the unvaccinated? Is it not over for like
it'll never be over for them? Every time there's a flare, it's always among those dipshits. Like, I'm done. I have no patience for these people anymore. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, let's get them sick.
At this point, they're doing it to themselves, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to have my entire life around masking and doing all this crap if it's just to protect people who don't give a shit enough about the common good to protect those around us.
I mean, and that's what it's all about at this point is you don't want to get vaccinated for whatever your individual reasons are, but what you're doing is allowing the virus to spread and possibly mutate. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And all of us who have gotten vaccinated and have already gotten sick too, like,
at this point, I think they should drop it. If a mass amount of people get sick again and start dying, then we'll know who they were.
yeah.
And fuck them. Like, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since the Trump administration politicized this, turned this in a left v right fight instead of a common cause for public health. So I say those still fighting the stupid fight, let them get sick. Let them get it, and let's show them absolutely no sympathy.
Do you remember way back in the Obama days after the Affordable Health Care Act passed, and the Republicans were like, oh, well, the Affordable Health Care Act isn't going to let you keep your doctor. Like, you're not going to get to choose your doctor. And you should trust the doctor that you have and not someone that the government's going to give you.
Yeah.
Now the right is all about don't trust the doctors at all. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, comrade, the doctor's plot. They are all Jews who are going to kill us.
Yeah.
Yes, I think Comrade Stalin would very much like to know more about this.
But it's so funny that in just a couple of years changes their position on so many things.
Well, it's what happens when you adopt an all or nothing mentality in order to achieve a goal. It bleeds through into everything else, and that's what they did. Get rid of Obama and fight our way back into power, all or nothing. And this is what 20 years of that mantra looks like.
Oh, it's just so exhausting all the time.
I mean, look, man. And this is the worst part. We know it's not going to change unless something drastic happens.
Yeah.
And we also know that it's all bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not about anybody's betterment but their own. It's not about anything that they claim saving America, the foundations of the country. No, it's none of that. It's about keeping them in power and keeping them wealthy.
Yeah.
It's about two groups of wealthy elites fighting to maintain a status quo that suits them.
Yep.
Like, I was watching this thing today, and I probably shouldn't have because it just made me even more depressed about how people who have left the United States and have gone to live abroad are talking about things they experienced that made them realize how fucked up the United States is. One of them was I was in a cafe in Germany with my friends and had been there for a couple months, and there was a construction site and there was a loud bang, and I dropped and ducked under the table and then tried to scurry off because I assumed somebody had opened fire. And to my horror, I turned around to look at my German friends, and they all just had the saddest looks on their face at me, like,
they're like, oh, poor American.
Oh, you poor American. Yeah, no.
What have they done to you?
Or
you?
Yeah, or what was another one? Like, this woman was living in Australia and working there, and her employer came up to her and said, "Hey, are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, why?" It's like, "Well, I just heard about that shooting in America." She was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Do you need some time off? Are you okay?" And she was like, "What are you talking about? I'm fine. These things just happen." And like, he had to sit her down and have this very serious talk with her, like, "Are you sure? Like, you're not just trying to cope and cover up the grief?" And she's realized, like, she had gotten numb to it and was basically like, "Oh, those are things that happen. You just deal with occasionally a whole bunch, some crazy white dude shooting a bunch of people."
I think I could make one of those. I could tell one of those stories because I went to Ireland for only 2 weeks, and the amount of niceness, the amount of kindness that I experienced in Ireland made me completely rethink that Americans are just angry, crazy motherfucking people. Like, we went to a pub in Dublin. I think the first night we were there, it was one of like the oldest pubs. I forget what the name of it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just sitting there eating our food, and we were exhausted because we were like jet lagged. And there were two people in the table next to us having like a business conversation. It was an Irish guy, and it turned out a guy from New Zealand. And
those are called Kiwis.
Yes, he told us that several times. But we were keeping to ourselves, just eating and having a drink. And their business meeting ended, and the Irish guy turned around to us and he says, "So, you're Americans? How's it going over there?" Like, and then we just had like a 3 hour conversation with him, the guy from New Zealand, and two kids from London who are like college kids who are just in Dublin for a holiday.
Yeah.
And they're all just like having the best time talking to us about like, so that Trump guy's pretty fucking crazy, right? And we just had this 3 hour political conversation about America, about Europe, about Ireland. Nobody got angry. Nobody was like throwing insults at each other, calling you liberal or conservative or whatever. It was just a conversation. And no one got pissed off at politics. Like, my
Yeah,
mind was blown.
it's amazing what happens when your country is developed and they take away the concerns of like basic survival, like going to the doctor, and like basic healthcare needs. Like this one guy talked about how he was working for a French firm up in Canada, and he noticed one of his coworkers was like missing for a couple days and then didn't see her for a couple more, and he just went, well, she must have gotten fired. And like almost a year later she came back and he's like, oh my god, you're back, what, they rehire you? And she was like, no, I just had a kid. And he's like, so you left and they rehired you? It's like, no, they never fired me, that was the time I had off for having a child. And he was just so blown away. He's like, in America teachers have to save up their vacation time because it rolls over if they plan to have a kid so they can take a couple months off. Or how during orientation at a college in Spain, the American students were all brought into a room and said, okay, so here's how Medicare works here. You've paid $1,000 for it. It's good for the year. Use it when you're sick.
Uh-huh.
And they were all like, yeah, no, you don't understand. Use it whenever you get sick. And they were like, no. I don't mean like when you're going to die, when you're super ill. I mean, if you start to feel sick, if you don't feel quite right, use it. It's not going to cost you anything. I have to do this every year with Americans. I have to tell you, go to the doctor when you're sick, because so many of you will just not go until you are really bad. Don't wait that long, just go. Or another guy was working in the Netherlands and he was reading the sick day policy and the PTO time, and he read it and he goes, I don't understand. It didn't say how many sick days we get. And his coworker was from the Netherlands, like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I see we have sick days. He's like, yeah. Well, how many? How many can I take? And the guy was like, you take them when you're sick.
You just, when you're sick, you take the day
and
off.
And he's like, I don't understand. Like, how many times can I do that? Depends on how often you get sick. And the two of them were just so confused at opposite ends because he just couldn't understand the idea that when I'm sick, I just don't go to work because I'm sick. I had COVID and my boss was like, oh, what? So you only need like 5 days. It's Thursday or it's Friday, right? So you'll be back Monday. Like, I have this terrible disease. He's like, you'll be back in 3 days, right? That's all you need. Because we need to do the work. Like, you need to be here to work.
Oh, and
I was in China in 2017, and we were talking about because that was the first year of Trump's administration, and all the shootings and the George Floyd thing, and all this stuff went down. And the Chinese were talking to me about it, and one of them went, because your guys, you have all those big Humvee trucks and body armor and assault rifles. And he stopped and he went, your police are too powerful. A Chinese person told me that our police at a domestic level were too powerful.
Yeah, and those are the same people that went through the whole Tiananmen Square thing and the whole thing with the Red Guard.
And they're like, your police are too powerful. Well, because I've seen like local police. Like, don't get me wrong, they have their like police force, but like their day-to-day like pulls you over for driving bad, like stops fights, things like that. Police. I got shook down by one of them. it's really hard to take them seriously when their like uniforms are like messily tucked in and one of them's wearing Crocs.
Yeah, yeah.
And like no gun, nobody had a gun. There were no weapons. It's just like, you know.
Well, one of the other, and I have two stories. One was in the conversation we were having at the pub. The two, like, they were all ribbing on each other because, you know, it was an Irishman, two kids from London, and a guy from New Zealand. Like, they were all ribbing on each other for various things. And we got talking. We got talking to the two college kids from London, and I told them how much student debt I had, and it blew their minds.
Yeah.
I was like, I have $30,000 in student debt, and they're like, you did what? Why do you have so much debt?
30,000, and what did you get for it?
A bachelor's degree.
Yeah, for a fucking bachelor's. Do you know what 30,000 would get you in Europe?
I'm pretty sure that like it could get you as far as you want to go.
Yeah, you'd have like a doctorate at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
For that amount of money spent. It's absurd. And that's one of the reasons why America is so angry, is because we're so stupid now. Or to try and educate yourself a little bit, you have to incur a stupid amount of debt.
The other thing is that so we went for Christmas and New Year's, and between Christmas and New Year's, the country shuts down. Like no one does anything.
Yeah.
Like we went to, you know, we stayed in hotels and stuff, but like if you ran like a mom and pop shop or even some of the bigger places that aren't like what's the name of that? Fucking their superstore. It's like a Target.
Yeah, a superstore.
Yeah, whatever it's called. If it wasn't one of those places, it was closed between Christmas and New Year's because they actually get time off to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, because they believe in work-life balance and that one of the things that you can't ever get back is time.
Yeah. I mean, they went to church a lot, but
well, that's Ireland. I mean,
yeah. They had that whole St. Stephen's Day thing, and you know, they went to church.
Basically, the British made being Catholic a thing the Irish could do to piss them off. And so we did hard. Yeah. I mean, we're undereducated, and people get angry because they look for simple answers for complex questions, and then they fervently, devoutly believe those answers, no matter how absurd they may be. So we're stupid and we're angry about it, but we don't know how to express it because we're stupid.
And the last thing that made me like, I got to get out of this country, was maybe it was a month or 2 months ago. A woman was killed on the streets of Dublin. She was a teacher. It became like a national, like, we have to have a conversation about this. Like the people I was listening to Irish radio. That's how I found out. The people on the radio were like, all right, we're going to spend this chunk of time talking about, do you feel safe on the streets?
When was this?
Like maybe a month ago, month and a half. But it was just a teacher. She was out for a walk, and then like someone just stabbed her or something. I forget exactly what happened. I don't want to be like flippant about it, but I just forget what happened. But everyone,
that bitch got stabbed.
Everyone was like, we have to have a conversation about, do you feel comfortable outside walking in the streets? I've never heard anyone in America, in my town, have that conversation about, oh, there's these crimes that are happening. Do you feel safe in the streets? It's assumed in America that you don't feel safe in the streets.
Yeah.
It's assumed in America that you could just be carjacked or murdered at any moment and you just shouldn't feel safe. So you should carry a gun. Like that's the assumption in America.
And that's kind of how America was founded.
But I'm realizing that's a crazy way to live. Like we live in a crazy place full of crazy people.
With nuclear weapons, the world's most modern military, and an economy that would makes just about every other country green and then red with envy.
Yeah. and we made Donald Trump president. Like, whew, that's
how stupid we are.
yeah, boy.
Like, we're worried about a bunch of wife-beating alcoholic Russians starting World War III, yet we're just as fucking crazy.
And like, I understand that Ireland has its own history of violence,
Well,
and that Ireland's not a perfect place, but it is leaps and bounds.
most of Europe is better.
Yeah,
Most of the rest of the world does better in certain regards when it comes to like value of human life. And you want to know why that is? Because those places have seen actual real, violence. America hasn't had that in over 150, 200 years.
yeah,
Where there's been real strife and violence and war in the streets. Yeah, I know it's not great in some places. I know America has had its issues, but as bad as all that shit may seem, it ain't nothing like having fucking tanks from a neighboring country running over everybody in your town and shooting them all and lining them up for like, it's just not the same.
well, Canada's certainly not going to try that shit.
Well, yeah, exactly. And Mexico doesn't have any tanks.
No, and in fact,
well, they did, but then like they turned away for a second and somebody stole all the wheels.
oh, that's terrible. Did you know that we stopped all avocado imports from Mexico because of the drug cartels?
Yeah, I did know that actually.
I just learned
Take that, Mexico, and your avocados.
No more avocados are going to become rare because we get most of our avocados from Mexico.
And all the vegans are crying their eyes out.
There's going to be an avocado shortage, and they're going to cost like $10 each.
I think we're just doing this shit on purpose to make things more expensive in this country. Because everybody got all behind the whole let's raise the minimum wage and let's give people money in top of stuff for during the pandemic, and everybody has more money, and that upset the balance. So now we got to make everything more expensive to delete those people's finances.
Well, yeah, it lifted like millions of people out of poverty, and then
there's only one way to get them back down there, Tim.
You gotta take away their avocados.
Well, and have a shipping crisis that causes everything to, a 7% jump in inflation in the span of a year.
Well, going back to the whole pandemic thing, not having a healthcare system that can deal with COVID, or having the right testing regime or vaccination program caused that shit. Because no one could work the docks because they all fucking had COVID.
Yeah, or maybe having political leadership that was completely incompetent and made it a political issue instead of a public health issue, and that.
Oh man, guys, you don't wear a mask because the liberals will win. If you don't put masks on your children while they're in school.
Unmask our kids. Vaccines cause autism.
And that was
the world is only 6,000 years old. Man rode dinosaurs on the flat Earth.
It's just all very crazy.
Fucking drink. Well, look at this. We've been doing this thing like on and off for the last decade and change.
Yeah.
What has actually improved?
I would say that things on the whole have gotten a little bit worse.
Right? We keep talking about, this will happen and then this will happen and nothing's getting better. Nothing's changed for the better. The only thing that's changed is TVs have gotten lighter.
Yeah. And flatter.
And more affordable.
Mostly.
Well, like you can get it. Like my 32-inch flat screen that I use as my computer monitor.
Yeah.
That didn't cost me that piece of technology 10 years would have been $1,000.
Yeah.
I don't think I spent more than $200 on it.
Mikey Famine says he's asking less friends to move as I did before. To help you move?
Yeah, either there's a typo or I don't understand the reference. Were there other things prefacing that you didn't post that I need to read in the comment?
No. But I mean, politically, the country has lost its goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
that's not just Trump. That is just decades and decades of polarization and the parties not willing to work with each other. And like we've said on previous iterations of the show, America is a fucking oligarchy.
Yeah.
We're an oligarchy. How many members of Congress are millionaires?
Most of them.
Right? It's like got to be like 80%.
Yeah. They have a vested and invested interest in maintaining the chaotic status quo because it keeps them on top. That's never going to change. But and here's the worst part is that's kind of how America was designed. Like America was founded by unscrupulous businessmen and religious fanatics.
Yeah.
The Pilgrims or the Puritans didn't.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
need his help because TVs are so light now.
No, yeah. That my last big move before the house, I was like, oh man, I got to move my TV, and then I realized like I could throw it in the back of my car and like bring it down there with me just so I could play video games, then bring it back. It was awesome. Whereas opposed to 10 years when I'd go to my buddy's Dave's house to play Left 4 Dead, I would have to like bring my TV, which was like this whole heavy process. Yeah, no, it's
yeah, you did used to need a fucking crane for a 40-inch television.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know that much has gotten better in this country.
I looked it up. It's somewhere around 90% that are millionaires.
Yeah. Yeah. This is exactly what America was designed to be. A land that enfranchises and empowers wealthy people to maintain a status quo to keep them wealthy. Because the whole reason they threw a shit fit was because the British wanted them to pay their fair share of attacks for a war fought to defend them. And thinking, well, wait a minute, why should we have to pay that? Well, we fought it on your behalf to protect you.
Yeah.
And kick the French out of North America for shiggles. Because that's the relationship Britain and France have.
Yeah, they just, go to war with each other every so often just to keep it alive.
Let's be honest here. You know the word fillet, right?
Yeah.
That's a French word.
Uh-huh.
You know the British say it fillet just to piss the French off. That's how big of a hate boner they have for each other.
I mean, we called French fries freedom fries. Is that the same thing?
No, not even close. That's us being the children that we are, throwing a momentary pissy fit. Whereas the British have deliberately hamstrung their language just to fuck with France.
What were we talking about? Oh, if anything has gotten better or worse. So I want to say that we had a brief moment where things got a little better when the pandemic started and they started passing those massive COVID relief bills, and they gave people extra unemployment, and they decided that they would try and stop child poverty, and that everyone would get free tests and vaccinations. Like those were good things that briefly happened.
Yep.
And then the money stopped. They didn't renew any of the money.
Because it was unclear who was going to get the credit for it. And once it became about political credit, it stopped being about the needs of the people.
And there's no longer any political will to pass that Build Back Better program that would have done some good things. I'm not sure how good they would have been, but
I thought they passed some of it.
Well, they passed the infrastructure bits so that we could fix our crumbling country. But that's not even enough. It's not even enough. The $1 trillion that they're going to put into infrastructure needs to be like tripled just to fix things.
Well, that sounds like communist talk, Tim.
I mean, case in point, I don't know if we talked about this, but Biden was going to go talk about the infrastructure thing in Pennsylvania, and a bridge collapsed outside of Pittsburgh. I think it was like one of those covered bridges.
Yeah.
And the day before he was going to be there, the bridge collapsed. And he's like, "Oh man, we got to do something about all this and fix it." But like, it's it's going to cost trillions of dollars to fix things, not make things new, just to fix things.
Yep.
And we're doing the bare minimum.
And then the Chinese will surpass us, and we will become less politically relevant and less economically powerful, and the world will go on as it did for thousands of years before.
Yeah. Speaking of the Chinese, I heard that President Xi and President Putin are the best of friends currently.
Yeah, sure.
They said
Because Russia and China have always gotten along
Oh, yeah.
swimmingly and have never had any bad relations.
Well, apparently this is like an ebb and flow in their relations. Like currently they're doing okay because China is like, all right, Russia, do whatever you want with the Ukraine. Just leave us out of it. And Russia's like, don't worry, we'll leave you out of it. And they're like, we're, best friends for now until one of them fucks up.
Yeah, it's fine now because the Russians aren't causing problems.
But I remember we talked about like China's response if Russia started like World War III. And then I saw that news headline that like, oh, President Xi and President Putin are currently like having the best relationship ever. And I was like, that's great. Cool. But China's not going to let Russia just do whatever it wants.
No. I mean, Russia can do whatever it wants in Europe as long as it doesn't infringe on Chinese business.
Yeah.
The Chinese don't have any business in the Ukraine, so they don't care. But if they were to threaten, say, Greece or France or the United Kingdom or, any of the places where China has major investments in Europe, they're going to have a problem.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to like what you're saying about America, like losing power in the world, like look at our space program, for example. We no longer have the shuttle program that's been mothballed. We no longer have a way for Americans to get into space that isn't Russia or private people, private companies building spacecraft.
Yeah. Billionaires having dick measuring contests.
Yeah. Building literal penis-shaped rockets.
What could be more American?
But NASA doesn't have anything in the works to send people back into space.
I mean, look, the only reason we did the space shuttle program in the first place was to show up the Russians and keep the Star Trek back canon as historically accurate. That was it. We just did it to make the Russians look bad. And then it was like, well, we're done.
But I feel like even like between the Democrats and the Republicans, like they both are guilty on this. If it's not the military or, I don't know, giving tax breaks, it doesn't matter.
No, you're absolutely right. Again, those tax breaks matter to them.
Well, yeah, because they're rich.
Yeah, that's important. That affects them where they live, man.
Like Nancy Pelosi and fucking Mitch McConnell are of the same mind on this shit.
Because they're the same. They're rich white people in America. Rich, powerful white people.
And they made the tax code so complicated that they don't even fucking know what's in it anymore.
Yeah, they know they don't have to pay a fair share, and that's all that matters.
Like going back to Europe, like European taxes are easy. They are.
It's on a sliding scale, so the more you make, the more you pay.
And they don't have to deal with like sales tax stuff and where you are is where the sales tax is you pay the VAT tax.
Yeah, it's awful and it's never going to get any better. So hurry up, China, overtake us economically, ruin us.
Haven't they done that already yet?
In some regards, they're bigger, but in other regards, not yet. They have flying cars, right?
Do they?
Yeah, in Beijing, they are experimenting with and doing a temporary thing with drone.
I agree with Tons of Mice. Tax
Well, that
cuts
makes
for
sense. There are a ton of mice.
sure.
No, they have self-piloting drone ship cab service.
Oh,
Large drones, large enough to carry a handful of people, going
interesting.
between different spots. They were experimenting with it a couple months ago, maybe last year.
What Mikey Famine says they're called helicopters.
Yeah, normally they would be, but apparently they're not. They're unmanned drones, I think, that can carry like 2 people at a time, 3 people.
Do they have to like tell it where to go, or does it have
Yeah.
like a route?
No. I mean, I think the goal is to have it like, okay, go here and it'll take you there. Right now, I think it only goes between like maybe one of 2 or 3 places just to like make sure it works without killing bunches of people.
Yeah.
But then again, even if it did, it would have to do a lot of work to equal the number of people who have died from taxi cabs. So,
Well,
like there's going to be an accident. People are going to die. And everybody's like, oh, look at them just throwing away human life. Meanwhile, like millions die in car accidents caused by negligence all the time here.
yeah.
But that's fine.
The crazy thing is like Americans' innovations with drones is how can we use drones to kill people faster? Like that's where we are with drones. Or how can you get your Amazon package with a drone?
Well, again, that's private industry. If it's not being forwarded and progressed by private industry, it's never going to happen.
That sounds like socialism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's how it works. Yeah.
But like that, and that was our dream for the future. Flying cars to get over the hustle and bustle and get people around safely. And now the Chinese are actually implementing something we used to fantasize about
Did
for
they
our
watch the
history.
Jetsons
And at this
too?
point, I think they're just doing it to rub it in our face.
Did they watch the Jetsons too? Do they have that over there?
The Jetsons might be counter-revolutionary. I don't know.
But yeah, do you remember like all the stuff that we were promised?
In the early days of the internet, when like we were still like new with it and we're like, oh, this can be used to share all sorts of information and bring us all closer together, before we started like, using it to spread conspiracy theories and all the crap that social media brought about.
Yeah.
It really seemed like, the future was going to be a lot better.
I believe that social media is the worst thing that has ever happened to the human mind.
Yeah. Well, especially in the United States.
Oh, my brother says that people in Dubai are flying around with jetpacks. They got jetpacks in Dubai. Jetpacks in Dubai, flying cars in China. Like, what the fuck?
Public shootings and terrible health care in America.
Yep.
We're number one. We're number one. USA. USA.
Do we have the most recent attempted insurrection, or is that some other country?
That's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so hard to keep track of like the third world. So,
but maybe we're number one in the attempted coups.
no, come on. We had one.
Well, I mean,
You know how many like leaders places like Rwanda and Pakistan, like Pakistan went through 3 successive military coups over the course of a couple decades.
Well, then we need to be better at it, I guess.
Yeah, we need more coups in this country. More coups for America.
Ooh, that's gonna get us shut down.
God willing.
And not like the CIA started coups either.
No.
Anything that CIA is involved in.
Yeah.
Well, I am number one in cheese trucks. But that's just me. America, I mean, yeah, probably America. We eat a lot of cheese.
Well, we eat a lot of cheese product.
Yeah. We eat a lot of Velveeta.
Not a lot of actual cheese and cheese product, it turns out. A lot of product, though. A lot of product.
Well, that's what American cheese is. It's just oil. It's just oil and milk. There's no cheese in there. That's why it melts so good, by the way.
Now I'm sad. I love eating cheese. Now I don't want to.
just don't eat American cheese. American cheese isn't good for you. It's not real cheese.
I know.
Cheddar is where it's at. Cheddar's
Yeah.
got real cheese.
Yeah, I know.
Parmesan. But not
Yeah.
like the grated Parmesan you buy.
Yeah, I was about to say, because that's how I found out about how much of our stuff, because I was like, oh, I'll get the Parmesan cheese. And then I realized when I was reading it, it says like Parmesan cheese product. And I'm like, product? What?
Tons of my says, give me Liberty or give me Cheese Whiz.
I mean, they're living up to their name, right?
But that was another thing about going to like Europe is the food there is real food. Like it's not
all processed bullcrap with
yeah,
corn.
it tastes better.
Yeah,
like
because there's not corn and sugar in it.
But like I came back to America afterwards and I was depressed about how American food tastes. Like I was so sad that I had to come back here and eat American food.
Yeah, I'm sad about that now. And I haven't been to Europe.
But I mean, is that the same with like Chinese food? Is there like
Oh my God, it's like night and day different.
yeah.
First of all, everything over there is cooked in peanut oil.
I assume there aren't a lot of peanut allergies in China.
I hope not. Probably not, because you'd be dead pretty quick. Everything's cooked in peanut oil, and nothing is baked. Everything is either fried or steamed or boiled, but they have no like baking.
You know what? I noticed that working at the Chinese restaurant, like they don't bake anything.
No, it's not how they cook.
It's all like pan fried in the wok, or it's fried, or it's boiled.
It's either fried, boiled, or steamed. That's it.
They did roast. I remember they roasted stuff.
Yes, there is roasted stuff. One of the most like
how dare you speak ill of corn, of sugar corn?
I'm sorry, the proper term is high fructose corn syrup.
The McRib is delicious, but it is processed bullshit.
It's so gross. I'm so not hungry. like it just makes me so sad. It makes me not want to eat. And then I get sad and I want to eat my feel.
But yeah, working at the Chinese restaurant, I remember like not the food they serve Americans, but the food they serve themselves.
Yeah.
Is delicious. And man, they use every part of the animal.
Oh yeah.
Dear God.
Chinese tradition. You have to eat the whole thing, or you have to at least cook the whole thing. That way in the afterlife, it's not running around headless.
But you know, I mean, the Irish are really good at potatoes. Like potatoes tasted so much better in Ireland than they did here.
Yeah. Whoa, man. I got my hands on Irish potato chips one time.
Oh, those are so good.
The Tato?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was so good. Like I ate it with my wife and she was like, I never thought I'd cry over a potato chip.
They sell those at, I mean, there's a little bit of plug for this store, but there is a European goods store in Bethel, and they sell that stuff there, and it's delicious.
You can also get it at an Irish import store called Lucky You, spelled EWE.
Okay.
Up in Hamden.
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's down the road from the Irish Hunger Museum about the famine, if you need a time to go.
But yeah, man, like when we came back to America, we're like, all this stuff is full. Like even none of the drinks, well, not none of them, but very fewer drinks in Europe are full of sugar. Like it's just,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, we're pumped full of sugar and corn. We're sugar corn. We're undereducated. We're underpaid. We're given no free time.
Yay, America.
We're number one. I pledge allegiance to the flag. How weird is that, by the way?
They don't pledge allegiance to other flags?
No, because that's fucking psychotic. Because the last time they let Europeans do that, it led to a global war with over 30 some odd million dead.
The Chinese don't pledge allegiance to their flags?
No. In fact, are you kidding me? Most of them aren't even allowed to own them.
They're not allowed to own the Chinese flag?
Well, you can. It's just tricky to get like a proper flag. Like you can
Oh.
buy like the cheap little plastic ones.
Uh-huh.
But, like if you wanted to do like what we do here in America and like fly the flag in your front yard,
Like a lunatic?
like a red-blooded American, Tim. You know the neighborhood I live in. There's a motherfucker right diagonal the street from me.
Listen. All of my neighbors in the little like corner I have over here put up flag poles with different flags on them in the American flag. One was an Italian flag in the American flag. One was a Puerto Rican flag with the American flag. And I was waiting for the Irish lady to put up her flagpole too. Like, it is ridiculous.
Now I'm sad.
And I know your neighborhood. And yes, they're all fucking crazy.
So, like, you know.
The Chinese stir fry their flags.
No, I'm pretty sure that'd get you shot.
Yeah.
Well, not shot, but.
I wouldn't fuck around in China, that's for
You
sure.
wouldn't get shot for stir frying the flag. You'd get shot for ruining the stir fry. That's waste of food. That's what would get you in trouble. Oh, look, he disrespected the flag. You ruined dinner. Who care about the flag? You ruined the stir fry.
Well, we got to end on some kind of good note.
No, we don't.
It may get you baked. Maybe.
Sure. Maybe.
Well, I guess that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
We should just change our name to the Doomcast.
Yeah. It's getting harder and harder to be positive. I think part of that comes with us getting older and older. We were younger. We were like, we're speak from the center. We're going to spread the message. We're going to get it out there. We're going to change things for the better. 10 years on, we're like, nope, it's fucked. Everything's fucked.
There's nothing we can do.
There's nothing. We've tried for a decade.
The system is broken.
This is as best as we're able to do. I don't know. Maybe we'll like start doing it with puppets. Maybe that.
Well, I'm gonna put up the stuff one more time. If you like our show and you would like to give us money to make us happy, because we're good capitalists, you can go to patreon.com/SFTC and you can become a producer, just like Shartan, who gives us enough money. And we would like you to also give us enough money. You can also go to, if you like us on the Twitch, subscribe, click the subscribe button. And on the YouTubes, like and subscribe. And then we can, maybe do other things. And Facebook. Although, just like the show on Facebook, don't watch it on Facebook. They don't do anything for us. But
yeah.
They're not as nice. It was meant to be sexual.
Yeah. It always is with us.
There we go. The Doomcast, sponsored by the Apocalypse McRib. Listen.
Which is actually healthier than the normal McRib.
It's made out of a different, healthier animal. So that's it for this episode of Speaking from the Center. Join us next week at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, unless Russia invades Ukraine and World War III starts. Then we'll probably be in like some sort of bunker. Do you have a bunker? I don't have a bunker.
I have my basement.
I mean, I got a basement, but my house is made of wood. So
I'll go hide in your basement. Your basement's nicer than mine now. Used to be my basement was nicer, but now your basement is nicer.
Well, I got a bar. That's what we'll do. If World War III starts, we'll just drink the whole bar.
My 3-season porch, I'll have to show you, like also has that set up now. There's like a back closet, and we just have all the alcohol laid out. And oh my god, do we have so much?
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll see you next week, and I will try to find something not super depressing. We won't talk about the American government.